All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Space Brothers, episode 39. Muta, you're an astronaut.
He is.
And it has sunk in.
That's has been
right.
realized.
Yep.
He has become real. It's hit him.
Yes.
It's sunk in deep.
Like
after
a lightning bolt.
10 annoying texts from Yasan.
Right.
The 11th one finally rang true.
That's right. That's right. But what next? Like, is this now where we figure out, like, okay, you know, you're moving
the
to
world
the US
starts
or like
shipping them all together.
Well, yeah, I mean, because apparently you weren't making it subtle.
Yeah, apparently
you like
not.
A certain new astronaut.
Because astronauts are kind of like celebrities.
Sure.
Like, though they actually are for a large portion of people. And especially back when, like, the space program side of things was a lot more celebrated in general.
Yeah, right. And when this series was probably made, it was like, clearly that energy is going to continue, right?
Well, I think that's why this anime actually exists in general, is that it's to help rebuild a lot of that just general sentiment and bolster it, you know?
But what happens? How do you go? What HR do you go to be like, hey, so workplace relationship, this is the situation.
Right.
You know?
How quickly do we become fierce shippers of these characters? At the very least of Serika and Mutta.
Right.
But we'll see. So, yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. The cherry blossoms? It's surreal. Oh, cool. We're just skipping
All right.
straight into it. I love it.
Nice.
Yo! Oh, new
OP! All
Very
right.
apropos.
Apropos?
Apropos.
Okay.
What?
All right.
Oh, Muta the engineer, maybe?
All right. We upgraded from nostril rainbows to rocket rainbows.
Yep. Oh my god.
All right.
At least the show is aware.
Yeah.
Ah!
That would be terrifying.
What is this opening?
This is...
Oh, that was Hibito's dream. He just, yeah.
Ah.
中でも話題となっているのは南波ムッタさん。現在月面でミッションを進めているあの南波日々と宇宙。
She's just in the background of the shot doing this.
I love
That
it.
is incredible.
に今注目が集まっています。
Amazing.
I probably nobody recognized her.
JAXA の入社式か。意外と普通。それにしても不思議なもんだな。
Does it feel like school?
Yeah.
業界で働いていて、本来なら出会うこともなかったこの5人が、
Point.
今は同じ JAXA の社員ってことになるんだもんな。
I mean, they're already framing Makabe Kenji in the middle, so
Yeah.
yeah.
よかった。俺も宇宙好きで。
We know, Muta.
Yeah, we know very well. But now it's not a date, it's just going to get lunch with your fellow, you know, coworker.
Uh-huh.
都市の5人以外すべて移動しました。わかった。
Alright, briefing for them specifically.
それでは皆さん、これよりナスダ理事長から激励の挨拶があります。
Oh, no.
皆さん、噂のナスダです。どうも。この度は本当におめでとう。
The punishment for making it as an astronaut is that you have to work under him.
Yeah. Sir, that's a permanent marker. Like
皆さんも一度は思ったことでしょう。
Nope.
これ支え合ってるかと。ね。もうどう見てもこっちの負担が大きいだろう。
Someone walking forward.
つまり私が言いたいのは、人という字は支え合っているのではない。支える者がいる。その上に立つ者がいる。
These dramatic pauses are not doing what you think they are.
私たち JAXA 職員のほとんどは、
Yeah, we're sending you into space.
Right.
Yeah. You're going up. Yeah. This is actually a pretty good like psychological thing to bring up.
私たちはそれを支える発射台に過ぎませんが、あなた方を宇宙へ送り出すためならば全力で支えていく覚悟です。
That's why he's the leader right there. He
Yeah.
can shift into this like, and that's all. I've said my piece. Yes.
And now I will
I'm
go.
cool. Yes, my adoring fans are waiting for me.
よし、もう決まったこればっかり考えてた甲斐があったね、今日はいっぱい喋ったね。もう自分にご褒美あげたいね。
That wasn't that much talking. It wasn't that good of a speech. He was good.
さんの先輩宇宙飛行士の
Alright.
紫三世さんです。
うわマジで
Murasaki Sansei desu.
なんだ
Wait, is he like really old and
い
young?
るよここに。
Oh. This goober. Oh my god.
ご無沙汰してます。紫三世です。いやーおめで
The animation.
Yeah.
おめでとうね。俺は君たち5人が残るだろうなって分かってたよ。
Yeah.
本当に。君もね、難波くん。
Yeah. He personally saw that, like, oh,
冗談だよ冗談。おめでとう。
ひでえ
じゃあ
just to him, yeah.
Yeah. To defeat the Huns?
ことがある。
あ、私の書いた。
その後は NASA での基礎訓練がひたすら続く。多分
Sure.
1年半から2年。
Oh my gosh, yeah.
正式に宇宙飛行士と認定される。
Like space ready.
Yeah.
Like space tomorrow.
一人を打ち上げるために何百人もの人たちが関わってくる。
Right.
Hundreds for one.
真に背負って答えてやらなきゃならない。
Alright, that's a big responsibility.
たちの仕事。
Can you imagine working for years for like a 6-minute like
Oh,
into,
yeah, that's-
into the upper atmosphere of like a rocket
Yeah,
with people in
that's-
it and stuff?
That's wild.
It's like your whole career rests on 5 minutes, you know?
俺も燃えてきた
Oh my god, yeah. It's real. Even though it's 2 years at least, you know? But it's a roadmap. Like,
Yeah.
like it's
This
not
is
in-
happening. It's not a possibility.
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, and it's not an indeterminate thing.
無人探査機ギブソンとの通信が急に途絶えた。動いてるか止まってるかもわからない状態だ。
Show.
OK、こっちもだ。
But if it's just illusions, then
来すぎて壊すなよ。
got our little warthog.
Yeah.
まで50分ぐらいか。そうだな。
Take the Mako out and go see what's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Just randomly just fly over.
Oh, what?
Oh!
Okay.
Like a TV special talking about everything going on.
月面旅行ハッピームーンナイトの時間です。今夜もあなたを月面の
Oh, that's cool. So on
Nice.
TV, they're showing basically what the surface is like.
今夜も僕たちの月面生活の一部をご紹介しよう。Come on!
Come on!
まあまだ地球から持ってきたものが大半なんだけどさ。ほら、これ見て。
Oh, cool.
Nice.
こなんて食べんのと思ったそこの君。食べるんだよ。
But we're not eating them.
アイコはタンパク質が豊富で養殖もしやすいのよ。
I had no idea.
それは
They're like French fries.
味はエビっぽくて美味しいよ。
その上コスト削減に大きく貢献しているから宇宙では最高の食材と言えるわね。
Wow!
Okay.
I had no idea.
私は
You can't get over the
Yeah.
mental hurdle.
名前がなかったんだが、今回のミッションから愛称で呼ぶことになった。
Brian.
Nice.
だからこれが彼の最後の任務になってしまったが、このブライアンはこれからもずっと 我ら宇宙飛行士の命の酸素を。
Yeah, but reinforcing how dangerous it is out here.
ダミアン。
ああ、空気がないせいで遠くの山まで鮮明に見えすぎるんだよ。
Oh, sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, kind of like how if you've been driving for a long time on the freeway.
人工物とか木とかさ、大きさを比較できるものが何もないから。
It's hard to know what's close and yeah, how it's far.
見えてるあの山も
Is that a cliff?
遠くの山なのか近くの
I mean, they'd have-
丘なのかどっちかよくわかんねえな。
I'm sure they'd have topographical information.
No, that is a cliff.
Damia!
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yep. That's literally the thing that I was like, it's not about the high stuff you need to worry about. Gravity being also much lighter, be much harder to stop.
Oh.
Because the surface tension could give you lift, and then you wouldn't. Oh.
That's scary. Okay.
This is just a crater that's new, or.
見えてなかった。
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's a crater. Yes, you can see the actual like thing
Yeah.
in it, and
ビビったぜ。まったく。
Okay.
well,
続いて第4条ですね。はい、読んどいてくださいね。
the legalese stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
および宇宙に関する科学的研究開発並びに人工衛星等の開発打ち上げ追跡を
Meanwhile, Serika behind him is just perfectly awake and alert.
総合的かつ計画的に行うととも
Bueller.
および
何かの訓練か
No.
Yeah, you got no rate my professor to dodge this shit.
わかることに
耐えるのよ。これは修行。
I'm just like, what am I gonna eat tonight?
No, he's just already sleeping.
また偽りのクルガを微動だにしねえなこいつ目開けたまま寝て
Yeah, I think he might have.
He has such fine muscle tune control.
はやしか聞き取れね
はい。すみません先生。もう少し大きめの声でお願い。
Yeah, yeah. Good job, Makabe.
法の資本金は不足第11条第1項
This is why you have it be a presentation with things to read.
えさすがに甘くはないぞ宇宙への道
In the US, the reason why they do this is literally just because of the grip insurance has on specific industries and stuff.
Right.
It has nothing to do with actually educating people. But it's like, now we've done the legalese, you are now liable for blah, 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 blah.
Right.
こちらで考えた可能性としては山の裏側もしくはクレーターの中などの影の濃い場所に入った
But where was the last location, though?
とりあえず見渡して見つからなければ影の濃い地帯を
Oh, they've got some kind of scanning technology that's...
開かねえ。
レバーを左に回すんだよ。
レバーってど
But, okay.
1個しかないだろう。
Oh, no.
本当だ。2つある。
Stop.
Oh, my God.
That literally just almost happened. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
It was Space Brothers for an episode.
They literally did also our late Brian J, who didn't know that it was going to be his final mission.
Right. Well, and like, you've got a scanner that can tell where it's safe to drive.
Yeah, once you have somebody have the visual issues like that, you go, pull over, I'll drive now.
Right, yeah, you switch the driving, or like, but also, 2 years of training at NASA, like, flying
This is why
like,
you do it.
jets and stuff.
Because
Yeah,
people make mistakes.
yeah.
And in a world where you cannot make mistakes. Oh my God. I don't hope that any of them die. But this was such gross incompetence that I'm like,
Yeah, like,
I want there to be really interesting
that-
consequences.
right. But at the same time,
Scary though. Okay. They
What the fuck?
They are threatening the death of Hibito.
Yeah, and
directly after Muta becomes an astronaut.
Yep.
And
so
I hate it. I hate it so much. I am not ready to have any kind of death fake out teasers or anything like that from this show right now.
Yeah.
But if they do it here, oh God, I hope there's some actual consequences.
Right. So okay. A lot of thoughts on this. It'll take me a bit to sort of ramble through it all. But for a while now, I've thought that Hibito is kind of the death coded, coded Paragon icon kind of, right?
Yeah.
But
destined to not to burn too fast too soon.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he was perfect, right? What a tragedy, right? That kind of thing. But having it happen, if it does happen, having it happen here, I'm not sure whether I want Hibito to die here or him to not die here. Because if he doesn't die here, then it feels like
well, he could get injured here and then he never goes to space again after this mission.
Sure.
That's very possible.
Yeah.
And that's effectively a death in the sense that that's the kind of consequence that I'm thinking is more realistic to happen here, is that, they're operating under 1/6 gravity.
Right.
So it's not going to be as devastating when they land. Their terminal velocity equivalent is not, the same. So the impact's not as crazy. But it's more the thing of that they could end up having their suits damaged in some way.
Oh, yeah.
They could end up getting stuck with no means to communicate with them because they're in the same spot that the rover can't be reached. But then it's we need to go send a rescue crew to go and get them.
But also,
also
make sure that they don't die.
Make sure that they don't die or get caught or something else.
Right,
there.
and so
and then it becomes some national emergency, and then they accelerate, maybe sending more astronauts to go rescue them or what have you.
Right, or it makes people reconsider, oh my God, should maybe
it makes the space program feel less legitimate.
And what this effectively does in the story is fantastic. We have conflict, right?
Yes,
because the whole thing, and we kind of joked about it with it taking so long for Muta to become an astronaut. It's we get it. Once he's an astronaut, what's the conflict, right?
Well, he'll take 2 years before he actually gets to go to space.
Right, exactly. Right. And while we are absolutely on board with his journey,
we are prepared for the long haul.
We are prepared for the long haul. We made it this far, right?
Yep.
I could see it being something where they're well, yeah, but that would be less interesting to people if it's just, and now here's the next thing that Muta learns.
Well, they made a point of that with the lectures. Meaning that those aren't the conflict.
Right.
And it's just going to go through 2 weeks of that, when it's going to be more fun drama as they go to the U.S.
Exactly.
They go and learn how to interact with all the other astronauts over there.
Absolutely.
And that can be kind of fun. But no, before we even get it to that, stakes are risen immediately. Hibito's life is thrown into jeopardy. We've got another red shirt character that we can have actually die potentially.
And also blame on the whole situation because it's gross incompetence, and that way Hibito's still untarnished as the paragon,
right? And
taken too soon.
True. It is one of those things though, where there's something about realism, and in an area where if you don't know much about it, being an astronaut, I'm not an astronaut, so I don't know much about it.
Right.
I'm curious how many mistakes like this happen, where it's something bad happens. And it's really bad. Because more recently in our actual real world history with astronauts, we had an incredible gross incompetence thing with astronauts that were stuck on the International Space Station for months longer than their mission actually was meant to be. You probably don't know anything about this.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think I've heard about this.
Okay, gotcha. This just resolved a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Or about a month or two ago. But it was such gross incompetence that when they were oh, so we're gonna get our situations figured out with this, right? It's yeah, good luck, You basically lost those months of your life and no back pay, no and yeah. Go look it up. It was horrendous. But that feels more like an organizational thing on the behalf of not the astronauts' incompetence, but just the organization as a whole.
The kinds of things where it's
a lot of little people's decisions.
Yeah.
A lot of decisions from a lot of people.
Right.
Rather than, oh, I'm not looking at the road, kind of incompetence.
Yeah, exactly. The same kind of thing where you have the person who's just mumbling through reading the thing.
Right.
Not that there couldn't be someone who's so bored out of their mind that they do it like that, but the fact that nobody sees that and is like, that's a problem.
Or it's that this is something you have to do. There's no actual value in it, but we do have to do this.
Sure, this is red tape, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If this was in the U.S., I would guess specifically that that's an insurance thing. Because they literally are going over articles, meaning that it's like...
I'm reading you the terms and
I'm reading you the terms and conditions. Like, Article 4, in so as to herefore... This is lawyer speak. Like, this is written for legalese, And it's you have to have read this, so rather than it actually being something where we're going to see, like, you read it, didn't you? Wink.
Right.
We're going to actually have you sit through someone reading it to you.
Sure.
So I pass that off as there's some bullshit in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But this is the equivalent of saying, I'm on the freeway, and I'm going to try putting on my shoe right now while looking down here.
Right. After, and the thing is...
After this just happened!
Just happened, you almost died.
What is wrong with you?
That's... Yeah, no.
You're not saving a baby that's missing in a crater somewhere. You can take the 2 minutes to slow down.
And also, on top of this, I imagine for literally anything that the astronauts are told to do, they're in live communication with Houston or the base or whatever,
It
right?
depends on what they can actually give them as far as info. Again, don't know what it is when you're an astronaut.
No, totally. But in the okay, they're going out on a thing, all right, what, you hear the chatter of them as they're talking in the vehicle as they're going towards the whatever, right?
Maybe.
But once you have the scare of,
There's
oh my
delay.
God, we almost drove off a cliff.
Totally, but there is a delay.
Sure, but after that first thing, I imagine that would be okay, what's the status? Is everyone okay? What happened? You know,
and they check in, and it seems like they are checking in every 15 minutes or 10 minutes or what have you. That's pretty good.
And this is one of the other things where it's okay, we don't know how this whole thing works, right? But they bring up the idea of, yes, they have a scanner. We're going to go through the areas that the vehicle can actually go. So the whole idea of this happening also feels just weird to me.
Oh, it's contrived as hell.
Because they'd be okay, we've scanned out the thing, or we are scanning as we go. This is the path.
But it was established that this is something where the moon's environment plays tricks on you. By there being no stuff on the horizon.
Eyesight is unreliable.
Your eyesight is much worse. That is effectively you're driving tipsy.
Sure.
That's...
Or sleep deprived, or,
something. Sleep deprived. That's what tipsy effect is, basically. Sure. Anyway, the point is that that's a very scary thing. So to have them do this in such a blasé way, I don't think does real life astronauts any service, for one.
Right.
But I understand if you want the dramatic tension, have it with the character we care about. I am very scared for Hibito right now. I genuinely did not expect this to happen anytime soon.
Yep.
My thought that if we were going to have this kind of story direction, it would be right before Muta is about ready to be an astronaut. Something would happen to Hibito and it would keep them from going to space together.
Well, and I always figured it would be something of a kind of like the Brian J thing of a re-entry issue, right?
Sure.
Where it's shit, something just was designed
something
wrong
so
or whatever.
Random and chaotic and you could not predict for it, and it's Apollo 13 all over again.
Exactly. Right. That kind of thing.
Real people died because of the combined incompetence of a lot of people. That happens.
Yeah.
And I get that. And it's horrible and it's tragic.
And even if you go through the crazy astronaut...
Apollo 11.
I can't remember.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, one of the two. But even if you go through crazy astronaut training, right? Yes, you could still totally make a mistake, right? That doesn't mean that you're suddenly perfect and that you won't do that, right?
These idiots are bonking their heads on the ceiling from jumping, despite having seen the others jump and do the same thing.
Right. But
this is their first time on the moon.
Right. It's something where...
This is their first real mission together.
There's an element of where... Could it potentially be realistic? maybe. It feels very narratively unsatisfying.
It does.
Right?
It
Like,
really does.
Like realism has no bearing on that.
No.
Right? Like,
no.
you know.
We're being told a fictional story here.
Right.
You can choose what you want to do in your fictional story. You are not adapting from reality. It's
Exactly.
not a history lesson.
Nope.
So, no.
Yeah.
I would love to see how they pull this off and make it entertaining, because this was contrived. And
Yeah,
I say
as hell.
bad Space
Right.
Brothers.
Yeah.
No. But I would also love to get educated also and see what kind of mistakes have happened that go like through with
Sure.
astronauts surviving, there being consequences but nothing dire, like people aren't actually dying. I would actually love to know the physics of like if a Jeep kind of thing crashed, the little rover crashed, how far would it have to fall for there to actually be an issue? Because if it's falling that far, I've always wondered about this, momentum and all that things. But couldn't you push off the car,
Oh yeah,
and
right, because
jump-
the car has way more mass, so like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
especially in something where it's like 1/6 gravity and everything,
They're gonna fall for a while.
they're gonna fall for a while, right? Like, and
It's
maybe
more the fact that they were driving forward so quickly.
yeah, right, because also
That's gonna get transferred down with gravity.
see,
so
this
that
is
it will
why
actually go
this is
quite
why
quick.
your Mako needs boosters, because then when you go driving off,
Yeah, so when you
cliff,
start tilting
you-
down into the thing
and
there,
then
you
know,
oh, you're talking about those nonsensical vertical boosters that defy all logic and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay, those boosters. I thought you were like, yes. So then when you tilt down, you rocket faster into
Oh, no,
there,
right.
beating the gravity, so you have actually more.
no, right,
you know,
you're talking about like Battlestar Galactica kind of stuff of where it's like the
we're gonna slingshot the.
well, no. The yeah, obviously you're driving on a bunch of dust in 1/6 gravity. Regular
Right.
brakes aren't going to be very effective.
No.
So we are going to actually, like, when you apply brakes, we are also going to have something that does direct reverse throttle somehow.
Right,
Right.
right.
Like that's the kind of things that you would like. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I would also just love the, oh shit, and then it just creates space parachutes.
In moon atmosphere.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
no sense at all.
Right.
The tiny bits of moon dust would just shred them instantly. But,
Exactly.
But the idea that it's like we're completely fine. It's the rover that's busted now.
And now people need to come rescue
And people
us.
need to come rescue us.
Yeah,
that would be interesting, because then we'd get these characters to sit and talk, and Hibito's positive nature could
Yep.
be combated against
And
with
it's-
the fear of death.
And it's plenty of tension for Muta, right, and making the threat of death real, even if Hibito doesn't die. And
Right.
that's where I think I've come to a conclusion of like my ideal scenario for this. We'll see what the show decides to do and all
Sure,
that, right?
yeah.
But I would love for it to be something where they end up being okay.
Yep.
It is maybe a short rescue arc, right? It
Yeah.
causes a bunch of drama, right? And then it's fine,
Yeah.
right? And so it's this gives us
Appreciation.
some maybe under the belt entertainment where it's like this was done in a crude fashion, right? But it's like, okay, all right, yeah, we're awake, right? We're not dozing off in the lecture, right?
True.
But
This woke me up.
yeah, right. But I don't.
I don't want them to do that
If it
again.
like. I've been thinking for a while, like, okay, if Hibito does end up like dying or something, right? Like, how does that change the show and all that stuff?
Yeah.
This
I didn't want
you
to
can
speak
do
it into
way
being.
better. Like,
I didn't want to
you
speak
know.
it into being, but when he got all his dreams come true, they showed how different he looked. There's all these weird little things that you don't really think about unless your brain just kind of drifts this way.
We've seen a lot of tragic anime.
We've
deaths,
seen a
you
lot
know,
of
like
things like that.
Yeah.
He is coded, you're right, for some of that. I totally can get behind a well-executed family death that
Yep.
was just pure tragedy, shouldn't have happened at all. It is maybe because of gross incompetence or what have you. It could be completely chaotic and random.
Maybe they can make this work.
Oh,
right.
yeah, and honestly, it's not usually about the events leading up to the death that really matter. It's
about
about
how you
how
handle
the
it after.
other characters emotionally reacting to the loss of said character that really is what drives the
Right.
impact of it home.
But you don't want that to be burdened down by something that feels like contrivance bullshit.
No,
you know?
totally. Some of
Like,
my favorite, I know we're already talking about deaths here, but some of my favorite deaths in anime have some of the most well grounded and sound reasonings for the mistakes that the characters make that leads them to where you go, of course.
Right, we're like, it's not that the character it's not that the characters don't make mistakes, but it's oh no, but I have to do this thing that's kind of a mistake, right? Like, because like it's a crazy circumstance and you have to risk it or whatever.
And do not take what we're saying as conflating the idea that these characters can't make mistakes just because they're astronauts. No, this is narratively unsatisfying.
Right.
Because we just showed in the episode, the thing that they were showing to build up the stakes of things is the thing that undercuts the actual decision-making of the characters here.
Right.
So it's like the thing that they wanted to use as the thing that built up the stakes and impact of this undercut itself.
Right. And then they also did and maybe I'm harping on it too much, but they also mentioned all right, look at the scanner and only drive where the rover's able to go.
Yeah. Which also could be just solved if they actually just showed us how the scanner works. But they just said scanner.
And also, the path that they took was like visibly very narrow, even at the beginning of when they like went to go around the crater. Like it's like, oh, we're going on Rainbow Road. All right,
Yeah, cool. We can't stop if this just ends here.
Could this go badly?
Yeah.
Like, and people being idiots with like safety, that totally happens. But this, yeah.
But I guess that's where we're at right now. So we'll see what happens next episode. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You got an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel. See if any of that interests you. We'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.